Hi everyone, my name is Udit and today I'm going to talk about the partnerships interview that typically comes up in Meta's program manager on-site interview loop. At the end of this video, you should have a really good understanding of what to expect in this video, what your interviewers are looking for, and a couple of tips on how to prepare for it. As a quick introduction, I am from Prepfully. We offer anonymous online mock interviews with Facebook program managers who've been helping hundreds of candidates with both mock interviews and advice. They're also the ones who helped us put together content for this video. We also offer lots of free resources such as free practice with other candidates, interview guides, question banks, and the like. I'll share more about the free resources closer to the end of the video. So, on to the partnerships interview then. For those of you who are wondering what this is one of the 4 or 5 interviews that create Facebook's online program manager interview loop. The others, for instance, are the program science interview, the behavioral interview, and so on. Each interview, including the partnerships one, is typically about 45 minutes long, and this particular interview focuses on your ability to collaborate with key stakeholders and demonstrably drive progress forward. Specifically, I'm going to break the sort of questions which come up in this interview into 5 buckets. Bucket number 1, bridging the gap. This could be between technical and non-technical stakeholders. It could be with key non-technical stakeholders such as risk and legal and compliance. It could also be with external stakeholders such as partners whom you're currently working with on a major project or regulators with whom you need to collaborate on, say, regulations and guidelines. A sample question here could, for instance, look like, tell me about a time where you had to manage external stakeholders and translate their needs and requirements into something that our internal teams could action on. Which brings me to the second interview question bucket, alignment and prioritization. So how do you build relationships with cross-functional stakeholders and drive alignment when often teams have conflicting priorities? You could get situational questions here on how you previously approached this, previously achieved buy-in from important stakeholders who might have been opposed to your values. You could also get theoretical questions of how would you deal with scenarios where major stakeholders are completely non-aligned and disagreed on what the outcome should be or what the approach should be or what the underlying mechanisms could be. So in this sort of question, I usually recommend always keeping Facebook's core values in mind and mapping your answers back to those, because those kind of act like guiding principles. You really can't go wrong with referencing them because ultimately your interviewer is also going to be leveraging them and executing them as part of their day jobs. So making those the principles through which you achieve your final solution or outcome could just be a good tactic to making sure that your answer is aligned with what Meta actually cares about. Good example here is moving fast is a key value. So for instance, it might not be worth causing delays due to achieving consensus. It might be important to show that you can drive progress forward even in the absence of consensus. Another example is always thinking about the future. So for instance, very often optimizing for the short term might not be the best solution of what Facebook cares about if it compromises our ability to achieve long-term value and long-term equity with our customers. So 2 sample questions just to give you an idea. It could be one example is just a really direct question. Tell me about a time where you got buy-in from peers who were initially opposed to your idea. Or tell me about your approach to keeping your stakeholders up to date with progress on whatever you're currently working on. Which brings me to the third bucket, what I call unblocking progress. Make sure you have examples of times where you previously isolated bottlenecks in initiatives or programs and go through how you diagnose the issues, what steps you took or potentially would take to troubleshoot problems that might occur in a theoretical scenario, but also what you then did about it, who you involved, how you got them to buy in, and how you eventually drove progress forward. An example here is, tell me about a time you lost a resource to another team that was higher priority. How did you deal with this? The fourth bucket then, which actually feeds in nicely from the third, is adaptability. Let me give you an example. Let's say legals raised a major concern 1 week before you execute a new program, say around GDPR. Or let's say, back to the original question, you've lost a critical resource at a critical time to another team that just has higher priority. What are you going to do? What are some of the actions you can take? How are you going to eventually handle this scenario? What are some of the approaches you might keep in mind, and how might you adapt basically to the difficult situation and challenge you suddenly find yourself in? Finally, fifth, a key component you're going to be evaluated on for this interview is your communication style. And I'm talking here about your personal communication style. So are you succinct? Can you distill information to its key points that are actual valuable takeaways for your interviewer? But also, can you think on the fly and deal with the tangents that can potentially occur in an interview, where your interviewer asks a question that you really weren't expecting, or goes down a topic that you didn't think was important, but they do, for instance. So in this context, it's really important to be extremely alert, be very concise. You have to demonstrate your competence and growth and all that good stuff on how you deal, how you partner with other stakeholders. But it's also important to make sure that you leave sufficient room for your interviewer to ask follow-ups and dig into your answers in more depth. Right, that's all from me. That's our guidance from Prepfully and our Facebook program manager experts on how to do a great job in the partnerships interview. Once you feel ready for some practice, just want a sense check of your preparation level, you can book an anonymous partnership mock interview with one of the Facebook program managers on Prepfully. There's a link in the description below. The free resources I promised earlier, we offer a peer interview matching process where you can just practice with other peers who are also interviewing for program manager roles, either in Facebook or outside. We try to match by seniority level to ensure that everyone has a good experience that's relevant to the level that they're interviewing for. We've also got a question bank that's quite comprehensive. It's updated constantly by candidates who are inputting whatever questions they were recently asked. So it's both up to date and really helpful if you just want to get an idea of what sort of question gets asked. We also got guides on this topic, both a written guide on the entire Facebook program manager process, but also deep dive guides into specific topics. We'll include all these links in the description below. Feel free to check them out. If you'd like me to make additional videos either on this topic or related topics or program manager roles for other companies, let me know in the comments below. I largely optimize for what there's interest and demand for. And if you found this particular video useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks and good luck.
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Our website is prepfully.com. We've got lots of interview questions there. You can also schedule a mock interview with one of our experts. You can find the link in the description below. All the best from us at Prepfully, and we hope you totally rock your interview.